So normally what you say here is you can make a public comment about anything except what's on the agenda. So you have a 5-minute limit, and we cannot respond. We will not respond if we cannot respond to whatever you say. So if anybody wants to come up now for 5 minutes or less, but don't make your topic what's on the agenda. If it's the agendized item, then wait until we get to that, and then you can speak on that. So are there any public comments?
I have a question. The topic of the agenda, just because I don't see it anywhere here.
Yeah, it's on the back. The agreement and petition to reorganize the Upper Lake School Districts.
So we cannot speak.
Well, not now, but you can speak on it forever if you just wait until we get to it on the agenda. So is there any public comments on anything else?
Question?
Yes.
For choosing a teacher at the middle school, what would be the proper way to do that? Do I need to, I don't know if this is the right place to...
You can speak on that if you want.
Talk to the principal.
So I was told maybe write a letter and then maybe request a response.
I would talk, yeah, just talk to her.
Any other public comments? Okay, approval of the agenda. Anybody?
I move we approve the agenda.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, do it again. Next time I'm not going to. Probably will. Discussion and action. Approval of resolution 2014-2015.05, approving the agreement and petition to reorganize the Upper Lake School Districts. Any discussion?
Thank you. As everybody in the room and the entire board knows, I highly oppose the unification of the two school districts. And I have a number of reasons for that not approving the agenda and the unification. Number one is the five of you will make the decision, as I said before, on sending it to the county board. No one knows who's going to be on the new board. Some of you may be on that board, and some of you may not. The cost factor to increase, we know based on what the business offices said, will increase cost for at least 2 years. And after 2 years, we do not know whether or not it's going to continue to increase or whether there's going to be any savings. We know that there's going to be one new superintendent, one new principal, or two new principals, and potentially more. But we don't know because that's up to a board that does not exist now and will not exist until everything is done. Both boards will make a decision and have no idea what the ramifications of their decision is until months and years down the road. And I don't think that's a decision that's wisely made. Let's not be like Nancy Pelosi and say, we have to pass the bill to see what's in it. And that's what you're looking at right now. The cost factors are unknown. Who's on the board is unknown. I've heard that teachers are looking to have just a principal versus a principal superintendent. But let's say that principal is Tony Lamina. Is that what you really want? Don't know. I'm saying I use Tony only because a lot of people didn't like him. But I didn't. So, I'm not speaking anything bad about Tony, I'm just saying that's what the decision could be. We don't know who the principals are, we don't know who the superintendent's going to be. We don't know if this is going to help any of the kids. We know for a fact that it's not going to help the reading program. We know that the math program in the middle school is decimated. It's not going to help that program. So for all of those reasons and all of the unknowns, I highly encourage a no vote in sending it to the county board. Thank you.
Sarah?
Thank you for letting me speak. There's so many reasons to unify our schools, that reasons of the unknown means that we'll never have change, and we'll never be able to do anything different because it's unknown what's going to come about it. That, to me, is not a reason not to do it. The boards are placed so that you have the best interest of our schools, of our community, and of the parents, and the decisions of the parents, and the changes that the parents would like to see. I have really not. That's the first reason I've heard of not doing it. And I mean, to me, that just doesn't seem, I've been moving from Colorado back home to bring my children back into Lake County because I remember it so great when I was a kid. That was an unknown to me. And to me, it turned out just fine. I still love my community, and you see my involvement in what I'm trying to do, what we're trying to do, and the changes that we're trying to make. And you see us all here standing saying, this is the change, a change that we want to see in our school districts. And I would like, to have that taken into account, that your decision should be based on what's best for the community, what's best for the school district, and what the parents are telling you, the changes that we want to see. And I've heard, that it has to do with insurance or this or that. People are going to lose their insurance. People are going to lose their jobs. And I'm sorry, but the way things are going right now, it is not good. It is not. I pay $600 a month out of my paycheck for my insurance, for my family. That's it. It shouldn't even have anything to do with that, as far as I'm concerned. This is supposed to be what benefits us. And if it's just because people are afraid of change, I'm sorry. That's not fair to us. That's not fair to our kids. That's not fair to the community that puts so much into this school system. It needs to be thought out as a big picture. All of our kids should have the same days off school. Our teachers should be able to come over here and help. Our kids should not have to not have music, and they should not have to have art, and it should not be completely separated when there's a chance that, the kids, the high school kids, and the middle school kids could freaking come together and have more of an ease going into high school than as being completely separated now. Times that the kids get out of school, people that want to come help coach but get frustrated because they have to pay and background checks twice. That's not fair to the community and the parents that want to help and want to be involved. It's so separated right now that it's hard for us to do that. I have two separate. I have that life. And I have two separate lives with my high school with my two kids over there. And now this year I'm gonna have one in middle school, one in elementary school, and two in high school. I don't think it's fair that it has to be so separated. We're right across the flipping street from each other. No other school around the entire lake are separated. Are they having issues? No. People are pulling their kids out of our schools and taking them to those schools. So you can't tell me that it's going to be a bad thing. And if we do get somebody in that we don't like, okay, bye-bye. We're not going to just sit back and let people control our schools and control our children and control things to the way that we don't want them to be. We're here for the better of our children, the better for our school, the better for our community. It's not supposed to be personal. It's supposed to be the better, the big picture. And I just hope that that's where the decision is coming from, not being afraid, just being afraid of the unknown.
Thank you.
So I am a parent of two children. I have one going in middle school, one in high school still. Not only am I a parent, I'm a business owner. I am involved in anything you name it. I'm involved when it comes to the elementary school, the middle school, and also the high school. This unification would be so great for everybody here because it would make it a whole. It's sensible. It's a necessity. Do you know how many meetings I went to separately? It would make it easier to go to one meeting, go to one person, not have to go to one more meeting, this one meeting, this over here, that over there. This needs to come together. We need to do it as a community for the children, for parents that are involved, teachers, everybody. So I just want to know.
Thank you. I want to say, since I'm sitting up here, that nobody's mentioned special ed yet, so I just want to say that special ed is such a huge thing to run any school, and we need a town special ed, in my opinion, plan. And not jumping back and forth, and arguing about it. Just have a plan for the whole town. Make everything worth it. Anybody else?
My name is Angel Huntley. I have a soon-to-be middle schooler, and I have a high schooler. And my girl started school here in the elementary school, kindergarten. We moved from Ukiah. I will say honestly that I was thinking about transferring my middle school. She's going into 6th grade, my youngest daughter, to Lakeport, just because for the opportunities that she would have that we don't have here. And a few of those items were banned because that's very important to her. Being able to do art. There's a few other perks too, like the science camp and the Washington, D.C. trip. Those are things that were available to her sister, and she's been growing up wanting that. So with those things set aside, I had to really think about it. And then I've heard that we, have some academic rumors that, the middle school just is not up to par. Haven't really heard any concerns about the elementary school. But I am a PTO member, and unification seems like the best idea to, again, like Mel said, just have the one group. So when we participate in the PTO meetings, and you guys probably know if you participate in the board meetings for the elementary school and then the high school. And then I have been told that oftentimes parents would come. Parents, participation was low. So if you did have the one meeting, then they would have more chance, to be able to be there and dedicate that time to it. For ourselves also, we thought about doing the PTO for the elementary school and for the middle school. But now we have middle schoolers. So we're putting all of our effort. It was in the elementary school, not so much in the middle school. Now we're transitioning, but the whole picture is, or the goal should be, what's better or what's best for the kids. So I voiced my concerns, and I've been working with the principals, and I'm, committed to make those changes for the kids. Because my daughter voiced to me what she would like, and I don't see why we can't make that happen. The perks of the unification that I've been told is being able to utilize the resources. Having the, Mr. Smith is going to do band, hopefully, for the middle school. That's the plan. Mrs. Toback said that if she could talk to the principal, they were going to work out a deal. So we could share teachers, share resources. The art teacher from the high school, she's here. Would she be interested? Maybe. Would she be available? That would be up to the principal. So if we could work together as a group or as a team effort, put all of our, everyone that takes the minutes, just one person would have that duty of typing those minutes for the one meeting instead of, those two people putting that time that it takes to type the minutes for both of those meetings, Being able to get the kids off of the bus at the same time. Being able to have the same days off for your family so you can schedule that vacation because it's all the same. Not having to, the financial aspect of it. When you have a younger child and you rely on your middle schooler or high schooler to watch that child when they, get out of school early. If you don't have that, then you're sending them somewhere else. You have the cost of daycare, or you're scrambling like I do oftentimes. Get them up early, take them to work with me, drop them off somewhere else because their sister's in school and I can't make them come home. So, and then if you have your high schooler and they're off the same days, then your high schooler gets to spend time with the that I've heard, so far, I have not heard any negatives that make me worry and think maybe we shouldn't do this. I'm not sure about the cost factor and adding more people. I mean, one principal for each school is kind of what we have, and we have 2 doing the superintendent jobs for each. So to me, that's 3 principals, 1 superintendent. And right now we have 4 principals, and then 2 of those guys are working as superintendents. To me, it's the same amount, cost factor aside. But I think for the best of the children, if we combine resources, somewhere there's got to be some kind of give. And if we can focus all of our attention just to one, maybe we can make these small things happen in the community as a whole, so we can really address, spend the time that we need to on special programs or needs that we have. So the board meeting would be 1 meeting a month. The PTO meeting would be 1 meeting a month. Boosters, of course, is separate, but then you can dedicate that time to that. And you wouldn't have to, like your go-to person would be that superintendent. They would have the knowledge about all 3 sites, and that would be that one person that you could go to. I mean, there's just so much, but I'm for it, and I hope you guys vote the same way, and just think that if we continue to have good parent participation, it's going to be easier to help whoever is on that board that gets voted in, is my understanding. I hope they have the best interests of the children in the community as their top priority, and it just gets better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not going to take a lot of time. Just first of all, I wanted to take the opportunity to publicly thank the board. It's a tough decision. Spent a long time going through 9 criteria and listening to a lot of opinions. And publicly wanted to thank Valerie. We got the opportunity to have closely together. And staff, Barbara, and everybody that's put it on.
Thank you.
I have a daughter in the middle school, and I will honestly say, up until April this year, I was opposed to any idea of unification. Presently, I'm all in favor. You mentioned Mr. Romero, special ed. Apparently, only special ed parent here. Well, you mentioned Lamina. I feel we have a far bigger snake hiding in the brush now. That maybe unification, we can approach it from maybe meeting with parents when you do special ed. We are deficit in meeting these kids' needs in so many areas, from transportation to the program itself. In the last year, myself and my daughter have watched numerous students move, transfer, spend half our summer traveling around the state of California so she can see her friends again. I just truly hope that you do what's right by the kids, because it seems, I know everybody is mentioning teachers and parents and things of that nature, but special ed always seems to be on the bottom of the barrel here. And it has been, and I feel like for a long time. So, to be completely honest, I'm waiting to see if you guys do this, what's going to become of the department. Because it has, my daughter's been on this campus, Upper campus, since she was in Head Start. I've watched it spiral down the drain. And all somebody needs to do is finish flushing them. Kids, their needs aren't met. There's no social working with them. No parent communications. No return phone calls when there's issues. Nothing. So if you do go ahead and do this, I strongly urge you guys to look at this department and look at your state reporting and ask yourself, why are we losing so many special ed kids? I would be gone, but they want to take our district IP kids. A lot of us are just stuck unless we sign. So I'm really hopeful that if you go ahead and you do this merger, that you start fresh or do an overhaul, and don't make our kids at the bottom of the barrel, because they deserve service, they have rights. We love our little community. I grew up here. I graduated 8th grade at elementary school. I really don't want to leave my family's here. So I'm just begging you guys, if you do this merger, that they're not the occupants or the also rans, that you guys look at your special ed department wholeheartedly and bring it up to the standards. Because it's really sad every year to say goodbye to people. Every year there's kids leaving. You can look at your records and see that. I just don't want to have to be one of them. I have to like my parents, I want to live by them, and I'll take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I just wanted to say that I kind of had a unique experience of working on both sites and loved middle school. You know, I want to see that get back to where it was. And I think with unification, there's the ability to share resources with the high school with some experience. And we've got a very young staff at the middle school, so I think that would be just absolutely invaluable. I think opportunities to, you know, let 8th graders take some freshman classes. Maybe a high school teacher can take a class at the middle school level and share that experience and not have that kind of barrier where, you know, walking across the street means losing a lot of money. You know, now we are equal, and I think it's an opportunity that could be really, really good for both parties.
Anybody else? Okay, I want to admit to the whole town that I've been doing a bad job of voting here. So I want to do it. Okay. But before you do, I just want to say when we're voting, I'm going to just call on you individually and we're going to make it clear. It hasn't been clear lately. We've just been going, I get it. So, go ahead.
Okay. This might be a question for the, can I ask a question? I'd like to ask a question to the PTO. You said that you do the elementary school and the middle school, but you guys are focusing mainly on one school?
I guess I'd like to just clarify. Most of our children were at the elementary school, so that's kind of what we knew. We had very little knowledge about what was going on at the middle school. But now that we're transitioning and our kids are actually going to the middle school, I mean, we're going to be able to do a better service, I guess. I guess maybe that was misunderstood. I didn't mean it that way. We do both. But more participation for the parents comes from elementary school, like parent participation and so on and so forth.
I was the only board member that had a middle school student.
And just to be clear, we did try to come over here and do like pizza dinners for their open houses and things like that. And like what she was saying about the parent communication, they would just walk up and be like, who are you guys? We have a PTO, what are you guys doing? We kind of walked into being blindsided. This is our first year of this group doing this.
I guess my question about this is, since the majority, let's say, is at the elementary school, I know you're looking for put the billboard out here and stuff, but when you're at PTO and you have many elementary schools, is that where you focus most of your energy toward the elementary school? Or is it, that's the question I'm asking.
I'm going to say something maybe to clarify both of that. Actually, I think that PTO has raised $10,000 just in this last year, and they actually allocated 5 of that to the middle school for the board. Even though I think you start to lose parent interest when the kids come to middle school, and that's what they're trying to say, is that the involvement in the PTO are more elementary kid parents rather than where our money is going and where it's spent. I think the PTO is doing a really good job in trying to equal it out between the two schools. However, I don't know that if unification happened, that one PTO or one booster club would do it. I think that might be something that those two boards would talk about and maybe stay separate, because that's a lot to support 3 schools.
Right, because that's one of my concerns, that if you have a lot of parents at the one level, that may be where the concerns are put at, you know. If, I don't know how you say it, you know, as those parents go up through, the concerns are going to be with them, and then when they get to the high school, they'll be with the high school, and that's going to take a whole new group, and that's going to start back off with the other. because like I said, I'm just asking this question, that's how it would go.
Well, we're volunteers, so it really doesn't matter.
No, but what I'm saying is, if there's only one, as I say, you're spreading it.
To help both schools. Yeah.
No,
So it's not that we don't care
now you have four
about
more
this.
grades and you're trying to split this up.
Can I just, I think what Ken said is very important. It's very common in middle school, kids don't want their parents on campus as much. Parents have worked their tails off down at the elementary, at every function there is. So it's always harder to get more parent volunteers at the middle school. I think that's what you were
Yeah, and
talking
not
about.
only that, actually, we met the goal for marquee here in the middle school. And we have this huge vision and this huge plan to do this big new playground, new field, new everything in the elementary. However, it just seems a little out of our reach, and kind of everywhere we went with it, just kind of went further down. Doesn't mean it's not still a goal of ours, but you have to set those goals and be able to achieve them as one step at a time, as one school at a time. You know, and what school does it, or what school needs this for. But that's why I think us as PTO members have learned this year, this last year, that working with the school and the staff and the board, I think that we could probably find ways to do it. You know, splitting costs, whatever is going to get done, the more that gets done, I feel that that drives the parents to join and be a member, and that's how we keep the community from just feeling like they're digging their pocket every single second. You know, because we're getting hit every single day, 3 times a day by the same thing. But it's, you know, it should all go to one pot and, you know, make decisions as a team, not for because my kid's in this school. And that's because before we know it, nothing's going to be happening, and my kids are going to be in high school. And then I'm going to be like, oh, I did all that for nothing. So we're sharing the best we can. I mean, nothing's been done yet, but we have funds to do things. So.
Okay, Ron?
I guess what you're hearing more
Let's
is
have Ron.
If you've been in this business a long time, what you see is that at the very young age, you get much more parental support because the kid, they're clinging to their child. And as their child gets older and more independent, then you have less and less parental support. So what it always winds up is that you have a very small group of people that do all the work and raise all the money, and they try to support as many people as they can, and they spread it out as thin as they can. And once in a while, they'll have a project such as the marquee that they're going to raise money for. But basically, as your child becomes more and more independent, the parents go. So when you have open house over at that school, there's hundreds of your parents. When you have open house at this school, less parents when you have open house over at that school. So
I guess the point that we were trying to make, we are involved in the PTO, and yes, we do involve both schools in that. As parents, we have not had to really worry about the education of our children. What we have learned about the middle school is concerning us, as our kids are going to be coming into the middle school next year. It has nothing to do with the PTO. It has to do with us as parents being concerned with the education that our children are going to get. My daughter is principal's list all year long. She just got a $1,000 scholarship from Mendocino as a 5th grader, which, I mean, for us as parents is awesome. It's a wonderful feeling. Do I want to put my child in a school where she's going to immediately start failing? I mean, it's very concerning as parents, not PTO members, but as parents. And we do have to keep that separated. You know, yes, we're here for the involvement of the school, but what comes first? Our children. That's the whole reason that we're here. That's the whole reason that you're here, is for our children. You know, and that's where you have to separate it. No, we don't pick and choose where we spend money through PTO. That it's not, you know, what we're talking about is the concerns for our kids. And we want to make it better. We want to just, you know, we need to make changes. That's the whole point of it. A change needs to be made.
And I just want to add something real quick. I the more educated I'm making myself and how this works. And I actually have to apologize that I haven't been to, I really didn't know anything about school board. I heard board and I said politics, I said forget it. But I think that what I've learned just being on PTO and funds and kind of just a tiny little bit of what you guys deal with has made me educated to know. But you know, we don't know that when our kids are young, and they're getting older and older and older. And I have a feeling I would probably lose interest once things, you know, get a little bit more difficult. But I just want to say that being a part of the PTO has made me realize that I do have a say in where our schools are going. And that's all it takes is us parents to tell actually you guys what we want, and you have to do it. I've kind of learned that just through a couple of things. I mean, if we were strong enough as a community and parents, and if the parents knew enough about what's going on and the issues, there would be, I think, a lot more done and a lot more programs. And I think you're going to have a ton more parent involvement if the information gets out there.
Hey, Ron.
Listen, you know, I've been on this board for 4 years now, and I've just seen the middle school just get better and better and better. All of a sudden, they're getting bad-mouthed all the time. And I'm looking at the athletic program in Lakeport. All of a sudden, their program is far superior to ours, and our kids are going over there. Somebody's feeding them a line of crap. Because the last athlete in this county, the last athlete that got a full ride scholarship in a Division I school, went to school over there. These kids are getting scholarships to go to Puget Sound or some other Mickey Mouse school. This kid went to Washington State. And our coaches are every bit as good as their coaches. Our kids are every bit as good as their kids. But they say their program's better. So they have like 9 of our kids playing over there. Because evidently their kids aren't that great. But I saw a couple of things happen. Hey. Well, if your son went to Lakeport like mine did, then I'm not blowing smoke. But basically, we've done a few things at this middle school in the last couple of years that were pretty astounding. And you don't hear about those things. All we are, we're bad people. We're not. This is a great school. We have great teachers. This is a good place for your kid to come to school. It's safe. We have virtually no problems with drugs and alcohol. And we have good teachers. Now, the fact is, everybody is having problems with math teachers. And the high school is doing fine. The middle school is doing fine. But if you go over to Lower Lake, their principal is substituting every day because they can't even find substitutes. So, you know, it really irritates me when someone can tell me that this is a bad school when I've been in education for a million years. Almost.
Okay, Donnie.
My next question, and I don't, like I say, I don't know if Pat can answer this one, but you know, when people mention transportation, now the one thing about transportation is we're still going to get out at different times, and we're still going to have the same amount of students, the same amount of buses, the same amount of drivers. So I don't know, maybe transportation will get better, but I don't know where it can get better when you only have X number of buses, X number of drivers, and it's hard to find drivers, and kids are still getting out at different times. So I'm throwing that out there that if parents think, and I can't say that it won't get better, but I'm just saying I don't know if it will get better just because it's unified.
But if it's unified, that can be changed, correct?
I think we're still going to get out of school at 2 o'clock over there.
We're still going to get out of school, but that's not written in stone, correct?
Correct. I said, at this point, I don't think, because we don't know what the new board would decide, but the elementary school still gets out at 2 o'clock. High school gets out at 3. I'm just making that statement. As of now, right.
Okay.
It could change, but I'm just saying, you're still going to have the same amount of students for the same amount of buses for the same amount of drivers.
The same amount they've had for the last 15 years.
Now, wait a minute. Let's wait until everybody, we're going to talk one at a time. And one thing I want to avoid is back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to have you go next.
Just to clarify, just one thing, when you had mentioned the PTO and the research, we're not trying to separate that, or like our thought is specific, and then PTO would be our group, because it is a lot for one group of parents to handle all 3 schools. And we might need to make that different so we have more parent involvement so we can really focus on maybe each side. But so far that just hasn't worked out for us. There's only a group of us, so we handle both sides. And then the transportation, the reason why I bring that up is because I believe it was last year, the middle school had an early day, and they got out 1 day early. And then the high school's early day, when they got out, was a different day. So to my daughter, she thought, why don't we get out the same day, and then that would eliminate that 3 o'clock bus, because the middle school still required a 3 o'clock bus day on, I don't remember what day it was, but it was different days when they had the early let-out day. If they were the same day, then that one day when both schools got out early, then that would eliminate 1 3 o'clock bus. So that was my thought.
Tony, I have the same question.
Okay, wait a minute, all the way in the back. All the way in the back.
The only reason I mentioned having transportation is because my child has an IEP. I've requested transportation. I drive her to and from school every day. Because the last time I let her ride the regular bus, I'm still not quite sure how it happened. I told her to get on the same bus with her friend Marilyn. She got on Marilyn, the bus driver's bus, and ended up in Century Market grocery shopping, and none of the school knew where she was. So I had to wait for the police and everything else. She hasn't rode the bus for 3 years, but I've asked, since it is a rating, I have a right to ask, and I can have it written in her IEP. And I've been told that if I want door-to-door service, that's provided through Kelseyville. I don't feel my child should have to go to school in Kelseyville. I live here. So for 3 years, I have brought that up. I've been told no every time.
Okay, Kayla?
I was just wondering, I kind of have the same question with the problem is the buses and the scheduling. I'm assuming we don't have enough buses, we don't have enough drivers. But when you unify, does like that pool of money that gets allocated for, say, the middle school, elementary, and the high school, does that get thrown into a big bucket, mixed around, and like, do we have more money now? I don't know how that works. I don't know. I don't get your budgets. You know, I don't understand that. But would there be more money if it was one? Or would the liability be insurance be less because of that reason? I don't know. I don't know that.
Okay, somebody can try to answer that, but then you go next. Wait, can you answer that?
Well, the busing situation is not really a cost thing right now. I believe that our biggest issue is that we don't have enough drivers. That's a problem around the lake. It's just like finding them teachers but because we do have buses over there.
And just so you know,
The high school runs the transportation.
currently, the high school district has oversight of the transportation department. We are already merged in transportation. So basically what will happen, we were just successful in hiring a bus driver, an additional bus driver for next year. So it puts one more into our system. And hopefully over time, the issue is always trying to maintain key drivers. I think this past year, I don't know how many times we put out to hire drivers, but in order to do that in the state of California, just to meet all the requirements, a lot of people say, they just don't do it. Tremendous amount of requirements. So we were finally successful in bringing one person to the system out of 3, 2 of them dropped out partway through. So we are, thank God, hiring additional. Well, one more.
So it's drivers. So it's like, are those buses going home? I've never really paid attention. Are they full? Like at 2
That was
o'clock?
one of the reasons when we took a look at making a change, part of the process this past year was one of our routes going out to Blue Lakes, for example, is carrying 8 kids. Or to send a bus out for that many kids. So what we did was it was easier to hire a person to drive a van, because now they don't have to do any requirements to ride a bus.
Right.
To drive a bus. So it was easier for us to do some of that. So it's looking at those issues and might be able to address specific needs, and we can do it by van as opposed to using an actual bus to go out to a certain area.
Okay, second row.
Thank you. I'm speaking as a middle school teacher now, so separating from the high school. I want to thank you, Mr. Ray. For 33 years, I've come to school. I've loved every minute, and I love every kid. People behind me are my former students. And like you, when I hear the middle school being put down, there are so many good things on this campus which people would see and appreciate and ask the questions. So I want to thank you for recognizing this. That means a lot to me. The other thing is I'm on a very unusual position here because I'm a teacher in the district, but I'm also on a high school board. I've also had in 33 years the pleasure of feeling comfortable on an elementary campus, middle school, and high school. Like Mr. Riggs, I can go to any of those 3 campuses and feel like I belong. And I think with unification, that just opens up that door even more for us to articulate our programs. I know what I've been doing in the last 33 years and talking to teachers from K through 12 and how it's helped my teaching. And how every day is always a new learning lesson for myself. So I know how it's helped me, and the articulation of that unification would be amazing to the K-12 program.
Thank you. I wanted to say something. I've heard 3 different times that'll be up to the principal on some issue. And I just wanted to say I don't think so. I think it'll be up to the new board. And one person said something about the boards will decide that. But if we vote yes on this tonight, the board will decide it. And the other thing I wanted to say was on the PTOs. And nobody mentioned, I don't think anybody said site council. But I think the parents in that case, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but the parents are not going to be looking to boards. They can run those things. Like one year, if they want to have 1 PTO, that's what's going to happen. If they want to have 2, if they want to have 3, that'll happen. I don't think we have to say, boy, this will be new ground here. You know, it'll just happen the way the parents direct it, the community directs it, I think. And another thing I want to say real quick is, just real quick, if the buses got a little worse, which I think is impossible, and if got a little worse, but if it improved things for all the kids, what do I care? I don't care. You know, I'm not going to vote tonight on, oh wow, maybe the bus might get a little worse, which I can't picture. But I think we've got to think of just not, are we going to cut money either? A couple of people have said, gee, I wonder if we're going to make money or lose money. We've got to think, number 1 is the kids. Number 1 is it going to be better for the students? Yes, sir.
For those that are here for PTO parents, they did answer that question when I went to that unification. And they said that it's up to us, that we can keep the PTO separate and the boosters separate, and that's, I brought all that up, and they just said we could just keep it to however we wanted to do it, so we're good on that.
You're right.
Sarah, the fact is, we get a pot of money, no matter whether we're unified or not unified. We get a pot of money. And the job of people like Pat and Valerie is how to spend it the best way. Now, we have a problem with buses. And evident that the high school feels that they're doing it the best way. And that's the way it has to be. So sometimes we have to cut a little here so we can add a little over here. But basically, we try to take the money we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Diane, and do the best we can with what we have. She's the money lady.
Oh, Donnie?
Going into this, I've been on the board for a long time. And this isn't the first year the unification's been talked about, been brought up. Now, I gotta say, I have concerns. And one is, like, let's say, I guess the concern is when it's not your idea, you're a little leery. Okay? What could happen? So, and we talked about what's in the best interest. Well, we did those 9 criterias, and unless I missed it, there was nothing in those 9 criterias that says what was in the best interest to unify. I mean, I could be wrong. There was nothing coming out of those meetings that said, oh boy, this is the best. We were doing a lot of things for the state. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out here that have ideas about things that say they've heard it. The first idea I heard of was when I asked last week, or last week at the last board meeting, asked if, there's some things out there that think that somebody can make it better. Mr. Iacino threw out an idea out there. Okay, whether I like it or not, that was the first, I think, thing I really heard in that time. So the following day, I went to the elementary school. I didn't make it to the middle school or the high school, but I asked a lot of teachers their opinion on unification. Some of the older guard was, a little, maybe not. The younger teachers, they knew a little bit, but the ones that have been around for a while, they gave me their ideas, and I listened to them, and I think that they were good ideas. So, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I've talked to people, I was sitting on the fence. I need a reason to vote the way I did, so I had to go do my own polling, I guess I'd say, to find out why it's better. I don't think I was ever sold in any of the meetings. Now maybe people thought the other way, but I don't feel like I was. So I kind of went out on my own to find out some stuff, and you'll find out.
Yes, well, Mel, I'd like the board to individually speak on what they personally believe are the one and two most important things in this unification to help the students. And I'm going to hold your feet to the fire because I served on that board for 10 years, and I know a little bit about what's going on as far as requirements from the state. So, having said that, I'd love to hear your input because I have not heard input from the board as yet as to why the unification is so important.
I bet you haven't voted yet, would be.
This is all a discussion.
But you're telling us
I'd like to
do
hear
something
from the
in
board
one.
in their discussion why you want to unify.
Yes.
Or don't want to unify. Or
It's not really appropriate, but any board member who wanted to answer that, I'm sure, could. But it's not necessarily.
They're not necessarily going to.
I think I already gave 3 things.
Can we,
You want to?
I just wanted to say, one thing that I see as a direct benefit to our students as a result of unification would be the sheer fact that Sarah mentioned before. We have a small pool of people who are willing to volunteer. I deal with it all the time on my FFA trips, getting drivers, just for the fact that they are cleared through one district where they can drive to an event and take more kids. Right there is one huge benefit. And if Sarah is already fingerprinted, Melanie's fingerprinted, we're going to wrestling, we're going to games, we're going to sporting events, we're going to field trips and academies, tons of stuff that we can't go to because we don't have enough drivers. We don't have enough people who are cleared to be helpers. And to go through all the hoops to do that, I had to do it for 4-H, I had to do it for middle school or elementary school, and I had to do it for the high school. It's ridiculous. It costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time, and if I could do that once and be able to help out at any different level, I would be happy to do it. My uncle would be happy to do it. My parents, family members, cousins who live here and love this community would do that because it's one set of hoops to jump through, not 3. So that right there, for our kids, one direct benefit, to me is the biggest thing. And then my high schoolers now have interacted with some of the middle schoolers. They're working together on projects. There's more communication. I know there's a lot of 8th grade kids who would love to be a part of FFA. Now that they're cleared, they can go on some of these trips, these leadership conferences. We could start at a much younger level, and we can get them going way younger and continue that right on through to the high school. I have a chance to talk to the science teachers. Honestly, I don't even know who half the teachers are. Yes, I could take more of my time to go and do that, but to have a common collaboration time where we can get together with all of the staff and work on some of the issues. We get kids, that are 5th grade level in math. Okay, well, what can we do back in 5th grade to make sure they're getting those concepts? And if they do need remediation, we can work with the teachers who currently have them to do that. And there's time for us to do that. Whereas it's not just me taking my time, again, which I love to give up my time. That's just what I do. But there's not enough hours in the day. There's not. And, you're only contracted to be here from this time to this time. Well, if there's time built into that contractual day where we have that common collaboration because we're one district and that's our focus, to me it's a no-brainer. And I don't see why it hasn't happened years and years and years ago, in my opinion. We are a stone's throw across the street from each other. It doesn't make any sense to me to not be unified.
Sarah?
Another plus that I see in it is I work with the community council in town. I help with the parades, light parades, all of that. I go to their meetings. Do you have any idea how involved they want the schools to be in what they're doing? I mean, they contact Erica all the time to try to get the kids involved. Well, they're asking me, and I don't know who to go to. I'm like, okay, so I got to go to the board of the high school and ask them to do this, and then I have to come to the elementary school and talk to her to go do this. I mean, the community council wants to, they're the biggest supporters of our homecoming, of all of that. There should be one person that they have to go to for the schools to be involved. That's a huge thing. They're like so confused over there on who to contact for everything that half the time we're missing out on the kids being able to have their artwork placed in the windows on Main Street, or, being involved in the town friggin' cleanup. I went and did that on Main Street. You want to know how many people showed up? 3. Kids could be getting community service hours for that. If the community council had somebody to contact, one person for all 3 schools to be involved in that. It makes no sense to me. And there's so many benefits to it that it just almost enrages me when you say that there aren't any and that you don't see any. It's like we're parents here telling you all of these things that we're doing and involved in, for you to just look straight at us and tell us that you don't see any benefits when we're sitting here telling you all the benefits of everything that people that we've talked to have done. I understand that the unknown is scary, but don't look at us and look through us and not even hear what we're saying. That's infuriating to me.
I don't think it's that we don't hear what you're saying. I still think that, so like I think we're rambling on, but my one thing is the superintendent you're going to have to call the superintendent, you're saying, because had that be the one person. And then somehow they're going to have to direct you to the other people. So you're still going to be dealing with more than one person in this whole factor. Again, I'm not trying to there's going to be some good things out of it. I'm not saying everything is going to be as
There will be
great.
one board that I have to go to.
I understand.
Not 2 boards. One principal, one head principal that I have to go to talk to. Not when I have a problem at the high school with one kid, I have to go to the high school and deal with that, then go to the elementary school to deal with that, then go to the middle school to deal with that. It's hard.
Well, there'd be one superintendent, but
No.
one superintendent in each school.
They're still going to have principals, I understand that. But you're going to have one head honcho that you can go talk
But
to.
I don't think you need to Sarah.
Okay, we got to take turns now. We got to take turns. Yeah, we need some new issues. We don't want to go back over all these things that the other babies hit.
Another one, maybe this has been brought up, but, and help me out, but another thing that was brought up at one of the other meetings is just the education or the disciplinary actions, or however you want to put it. But the elementary school has their set guidelines, and I'm not sure if that transitions to the middle school, but I believe with one of the education programs that was adopted so that it's the same
The
thing.
PBIS program will be a K-8 program, so all teachers, staff will be on the same board of discipline.
So is there something with unification that can make that same thing transfer from elementary school, middle school, high school? Is that something that we can make sure happens, or do you look into as far as benefit? But I mean disciplinary actions probably. If you have the same set of rules at each district, then the child knows what behavior is expected of them at the elementary school, and that should transition right into the middle school. These are the same behaviors or requirements, so on and so forth, and then transition into the high
tracks a lot of that. And so if you unify those, that system would be combined so that everything would flow direct. So behavior issues, all of that flows, but also all the interventions, everything, the tracking of that is, when you're having one system. So yes, there is. The PBIS is not normally done at the high school, but in K-12 districts, what happens is they put it in K-8, and then you educate the high school teachers, the staff, all of the staff, because it's even custodians, everybody. And then they're able to understand what the kids have gone through in 9 years, to be able to understand how it had, and I've actually had conversations about it.
Or like
It's pretty seamless.
Elementary school teacher's assistant, if they're using the same program, which they probably do now, but I don't know if you share those employees, but what if you do have a teacher's aide? If they're doing the same thing, could that teacher's aide substitute if needed in elementary school and just be as beneficial substituting in the middle school? I don't know if we share that type of thing, but with unification, my understanding is that we would. Or in a special program that's needed.
Well, in the elementary school, middle school, you would need unification to go back and forth because you're already together.
Yeah.
Another issue that I've seen happen recently has been with sports and using fields or gyms or equipment, or maybe our high school students can teach or train our younger students and in sports activities and be mentors. I've been interviewing scholarship applicants a lot, and I've noticed that from other schools in Middletown and Lower Lake as well. What's huge there was every single kid, we asked what community service affected you the most, and every single kid from middle school and every single kid from Lower Lake said, my favorite community service was teaching the younger kids how to play basketball or softball or baseball. Those kids actually have teams and can coach those third and fourth graders and coach them in training. And that benefits the high schooler, that benefits the younger kid. They look up to those good kids that are doing good for themselves. And I know that when my daughter started basketball with Lakeport League, which, again, you got to do that because we don't have a league or access to that over here. We didn't know we could use the elementary school gym until I went to one of their meetings over there in Lakeport, and they said, oh yeah, we'll just put you on the insurance. Well, we were trying to use the high school league gym, and it wasn't working out because of conflicting times. Maybe that we have very, very few coaches in this community as well, and we need to use those coaches and help all of our kids ages, 8 and up, and start them young and build that relationship with those coaches, because I've seen the coaches over in Middletown have a real effect on kids at a young age as well. So that's just a sports thing. I think you might have some easier ways of coaching as well.
Anybody else?
Well, from a sports perspective, I can say that it'd be a lot easier if it was one district, so that scheduling facilities, for example, having 2 gyms and having outside people who want to use our gym, as well as off-season coaches who want to do open gym, it would be a lot easier to schedule things like that if there were 2 gyms in the same district. Another point that I like to add here about coaches is if it's a unified district, that would mean that a coach at the high school would already be cleared to coach at the middle school. So they wouldn't have to jump through 2 hoops like somebody else was saying earlier. They'd also be cleared to drive at both schools like you were saying earlier. So from an athletic standpoint, it would benefit both the high school kids from having more availability to practice as well as more availability to come work with the younger kids. And the younger kids would benefit too.
I just want to that was going to be done. Now, as far as he said about the fingerprinting and stuff go, no matter what, you have to give it to Dawn, right? To be approved as a driver, to drive the vans to events.
Right.
So once you're approved by the high school, you'd be approved for the middle school because
Not true.
Why not? Okay, now I got a guy back here that's going to answer my question.
Because if you're approved by the high school to drive for the high school, that's fine. But then when you come over to drive for the middle school, you're driving for a different district. So as a different district, you would have to be cleared by that district.
Would you have to be refingerprinted?
Yes.
Okay.
And pay for it.
And pay for it out of your
But
pocket.
also, it's not all about drivers. Sometimes you just need people.
Yeah.
It just struck me, I spend every day of the year at the elementary, right? And most of you see me at the high school all these years. I don't think I'm legal over there anymore. I haven't kept up my files. Yeah.
I'm actually about to start my the four-year part of my schooling to become a teacher. If we do become one district, people like me who actually want to get into education will look at our district and go, I've got 3 schools. I can go to through one superintendent or through one credential program and get experience at elementary school, middle school, and high school, all at the same time. When we first moved here, I helped Don Boyd, Coach Russell here at this school. I went and got my fingerprints done and the TV test, paid all that out of pocket. Come next season, I went over to the high school and said, hey, I'd love to help with football and wrestling. And they said, oh, you got to go get fingerprints. I'm like, yeah, I just got that done. The season just ended. I'm like, no, it's a different district. So, as a working student, to pay the extra fingerprint and TV test, because they have to be within a certain amount of time to get the TV test, and have to go get read. That's a lot of time for a parent to leave and pay on top of all the other and volunteer. And I wanted to help Frank with football last year. And on the certificate I gave done was required for the high school, the NFHS, coaching, concussion, first aid, all that stuff. If we had it unified, that'd be universal to all 3 schools. Every coach would have concussion, the first aid, the CPR, the stuff that's required by NFHS to have coaches in the school district. Right now, you have to have 2 separate fingerprints, 2 separate TV tests. It makes it more beneficial for our parents.
Okay, we need any new issues.
What about insurance? Will you save a ton on insurance? One insurance policy? How does that work?
We'd have to go through and look at each of those. I mean, it depends, there's all different kinds of
Because you're
insurance.
paying 2 different ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously consolidating, so, there's redundancy, you have to think. But how much, now you have to do an analysis.
Okay, all the way to the back.
I have a point to make too, is that in the special ed department, our children should really be, like David Eder and like learning life skills. It's actually written in legislation that our children should be getting an education, preparing them for employment and independent living. Currently, we don't have a way to do that really. So if we did merge, I don't know, I'm going to show my age. I haven't been in high school in a while. But we used to have whole napkin things. So there would be the availability to teach the children with special needs that have it through the federal legislation and state legislation to learn living skills and to prepare them for independent living and employment, go out into the world and actually succeed. We could start at a younger age. We walked over and saw Erica set up with the pigs and everything, and the kids related to see your garden. My child may not be book smart, but she excels with living skills and animals and things like that. So if you merge, you would have, well, I hope it's still over there, the availability to actually meet what is needed for these kids and what will help them to become better human beings and live successful lives in the future. Because right now, there's really not a whole lot of, other than Miss Duncan, who is beyond nice and kind to my child.
I love it.
And that's the only real elective my kid can do. So she's going to sit and just spin like a top until she goes to high school. if you guys merge, there is that availability. I'm not volunteering here, okay? But there's that little area over there where where you can teach them hands-on science and things. Because my child's not going to learn from a book, she learns from doing. So currently, like I said before, we're still letting these kids down. So when they leave and they graduate high school and things, they're not going to be able to succeed in life. Granted, as parents, my daughter a teacher at home too, and I am trying to set her up where she has a home and learns through 4-H and the fairs, and we travel all over showing those chickens. But the school has a responsibility to teach them, and it's written for their education, for their employment, to help them with employment in their further years, and to teach them independent living skills, and it's not happening at all. So I would be in favor of merging for that reason, because the facilities are there. I took home ec over there. I burned a lot of stuff in there. So, I mean, that's another thought for you guys to think about.
Okay, Joanne, and then Becky.
I just wanted to thank the parents that are here for all that you do and all your hard work. And I'm thrilled that there are so many parents involved now that we have a parent group and we have our site councils, and for years we didn't have that. And I know it's a handful of parents, and hopefully more parents will become involved. But I know the years that my daughter was going through the school, Sarah was like the same 5 or 6 parents, and it gets hard. So I really appreciate your input. I hear your concerns. I think all of us are interested in what's best for the kids. I think all of us would love to see home ec and auto shop and wood shop and all the electives that used to be in the schools back in the day. Unfortunately, a lot of things were cut when California was going through some really hard times. And hopefully some of those things will come back. I think we've proven over our meetings and looking at the criteria that we're not going to really save money, and maybe some years out we might see more efficiency, see a little savings. My concern is that the parents who are voicing their concerns, if unification takes place, it's going to be a slow process. And I think in the long run, it will strengthen the special ed program, run a more efficient transportation department, share services. We used to share music over here, and I think because of cuts, we had to lose that here at the or over there. Transportation is always difficult, and like Pat was saying, finding drivers is really hard. Finding teachers is really hard. We have put more money toward special ed than we ever have. We've been working hard on that. My concern is that things aren't going to just happen the way everyone thinks it's going to be. But my hope is that we'll have a great school, we'll make improvements. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Becky?
Thanks. Next year will be my 12th year, believe it or not. And when I started, of course, I was just doing band and choir and stuff like that. And I would come over a portion of the day here and service the kids here. And even for 1 year, I went down to the elementary and did a few of like the brass players and stuff that Hank had. And it was a great thing. But I think that what it teaches us is that the two districts have always been willing to work together. And I believe fully in the staffs of both districts. And I think that they want what's best for kids and best for programs. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The unification of that makes it more real, and it gives it a focus and a direction and a point of leadership. When we have professional development and we're doing these things over in the high school, well, why not have professional development that would help everyone? And things that you want to do a certain program that would be K-12, well, that we can do that because we're unified. We can all set aside this day and do that. So I think it makes those ideas of focus and intention just more clear. And like you're all going in the same way instead of one school doing this and the other school going, no, I got this great idea, we're going to go that way. And not getting anywhere on some of these very vital issues like math and like English and like, you know, the different types of elective programs and utilizing staff to the best of the district's ability to best serve the kids. You know, I just think that there's a great sense of community here in Upperley, and it currently just doesn't make a lot of sense educationally that we don't have that community. We have it certainly within the schools, I mean within the town, but then you have this division. And I think coming together and focusing on some goals and streamlining some procedures and making things make sense, K-12 is a great benefit. And I think you have a golden opportunity today to make that happen and to bring the educational community of Upper Lake together, just like the town is.
Behind you, sir.
I've been coaching around here for 23 years. I've been involved with Upper Lake, since 1983. I've literally been on all 3 campuses for the last 23 years doing something involved. Our teachers are great. Our kids are great. You know, what we need with this unification, hopefully what I see it to bring, is consistency and team. We're not looking at that. We're one small community with these 2 districts, and we need to come together as one. And that's how we're going to get stronger. That's how we're going to get the community more involved, instead of saying, okay, well, my kid goes to this district, so I'm just going to concentrate on that. I'll worry about my kid when they get there. We need to quit that. This is one community. We need one unification, one district to get things accomplished. If we have too many chiefs and not enough people, it ain't going to work out. If we have this one doing that one, no. We get together and become one. We'll get more people to the meetings, more people to the board meetings, and more people involved by becoming consistent. We have to be consistent from kindergarten to the 12th grade, so when our kids know when they're going through this system, hey, I've already done this for 5 years. I'm going into the 6th grade. Yeah, I've got my routine down instead of hitting junior high and going, oh, new routine, new rules. Oh, different opinions on teaching, different opinions on sports now. Again, let's emphasize sports. Hey, I've lost a lot of coaches that want to come out and help football because they just don't want to go get re-fingerprinted again. They don't have the time to do that to leave their jobs. Again, one district, one team, one unification. We need a driver, we need whatever. It's there. But it's consistency, and we lose that when we have 2 districts and 2 different boards. Because now we have 10 opinions instead of 5. Who do we go to for the right answer? We need one person up top to make that decision, that leader. Not let's hunt and fish and what I call parent shopping when we want to get what we want. You know, we know which board member to go massage, and we know which principal to go talk today. We know the game, but we don't need that anymore. We just need that one leadership, that one role, that one person to go to. So it's consistent. We get consistent answers, consistent results. And our kids can stay consistent K through 12. That's what this is all about. Consistency, that's all we want. Your kids are not going to go to junior high and get dumber. Mrs. Duncan will not let that happen. Since 1982. She's not going to let that happen. Your kids are who your kids are. If they want to educate, they will continue to educate. If they want to get lazy when they get into junior high, they'll get lazy and they'll pay for it later. That's not what unification is about. That's what parenting is about. We don't blame that on the schools. The school has programs. The school has educators. It's up to your children to continue to educate. It's up to you as a community to stay involved with your children to make sure they're going to continue to thrive. We don't blame that on the schools. That's parenting 101. Consistency, folks. That's all I ask for with this unification. I don't have little kids going through the schools. I'm hopefully going to have a couple of grandsons coming through here. They are coming through here. They're good nuisance. They're rolling through here. Trust me. But that's all I want is consistency with this unification. So they know from kindergarten to 12th grade what they're going to expect at that next level, at that next, when they jump from middle school to high school. And that's what I got to say about this whole thing. And I haven't heard that word once tonight. But let's be consistent, whatever happens. Thanks.
Sarah?
Mine will be quick. I just wanted to say on what you said, Joanne, we all know that it's not going to be fixed exactly how we want. start.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to tack on to Sarah. Anything worth doing is not going to be easy. It never is. I mean, hard work and belief in your child and doing what's right for them. And I have 2 children, and I will be totally honest with you. One is continuing at Upper Lake, one is not. He's been accepted into another school district. And I take my children and I look at them individually to figure out what's going to be best for them. And what Frank said about consistency is what I'm really looking at as a parent, as a volunteer, as a coach for this middle school. Consistency. I personally went to a K-12 school. My sister, who was in 11th grade, walked by my kindergarten classroom. Having the mentors and kids able to come to campus and show up and help tutor and teach is an awesome experience for both. And it gets the children to commit to their own education when they see their older mentors succeeding. So the high school, the middle school, the elementary school, as one, you're sending a message to all your students.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to vote one at a time on approving the agreement and petition to reorganize the Upper Lake School Districts. Don, Mary?
Aye.
Joanne?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
And I vote aye also. Does anybody have any creative ideas about adjournment?
I just wanted to say thank you guys for all your time and thank you for your support, your participation. Barbara, I believe you're taking minutes. So, oh my gosh.
All in favor?
Thank you guys.
Aye. Thank you.